Hi, and welcome to our Facebook Friday. Today, we are going to be making 4 cards using the Silly Safari set. And this is a stamp set, but the bundle also comes with this punch that is 1 7/8 inch circle. And we will be using this quite a bit, but this is a great size. It's not super large, but yet it's large enough to get the animals that we want to put on our cards today. This is also a great stamp set to use for anyone you know that is an animal lover or someone that likes to go to the zoo. It would also be really cute for people who are doing a zoo scrapbook page. So, and then there's also a stamp for welcome baby and one for thank you, it's your birthday, Hakuna Matata, if you have Lion King lovers, and there's a really cute lion in here. So we are going to be using a lot of these today in the cards. And so if you would like to get a set of the cards, the 4 cards that we're going to do, you can use this QR code to place an order for $35 or more. Through the end of this month, I am doing a special where if your order is $50 or more, I will check with you to see what embellishment you would like added to your card kit. And if it is $75, you get a ribbon and an embellishment of your choice. And if your order is $100 or more, I will let you select a stamp set and I will order that and add it with your kit. If you place your order between now and next Thursday, all of these specials will be in place for that. But in addition to this, and all of this is in the description, there is also an option for you to purchase a kit to where you can make all of these. It will include a half a pack of designer series paper, an entire thing of embellishments. We're actually going to be using the rainbow adhesive back dots, and I didn't show you this, but the designer series paper that we are using is actually the back of the turtles, because the back sides of this is really cute, and so that's what we're going to be using for our cards today. So in your kit you would get a half a pack of that, the rainbow adhesive dots, and in addition to that you will get a full pack of all of these twines. This is the Baker's Twine Essentials Pack, and it comes with 5 different colors. You get black, white, crumb cake, vanilla, and a gray. I think it's smoky slate, but it could be basic gray also. But anyway, super nice set to have because, you know, we can never have enough twine, right? So with that said, let's go ahead and get started with our first card, and then I will go through all of those ordering specials again at the end. So let me move some of this around. Our first card is going to be using the monkey and the zebra. How fun is that? And this is kind of a fun fold card. A little bit. So you will have all of these pieces in your card kit, and your base is Azure Afternoon, and this is 4 1/4 by 11, and then it is scored at 2 3/4 from each edge. So if you're wondering how to make that, that's how you do it. All right, so let's do the inside first, because that way we can do the outside last, since that way we'll already have that done. So you will have a piece of, let me get my pieces here. You will have a piece of the Real Red cardstock, and then you will have a piece of this music note DSP that we are going to glue to the center of that. So let's go ahead and glue that down. I love the turtle paper, but I really like the back sides of all of this because I just feel like it looks like something that would be great for a kid's birthday card, or You know, sometimes, and one of the cards that we're going to make today is to welcome a baby too, which is always fun. So we're going to just glue this to the center of our inside of our card. So we will put some glue on here. And just center that in the middle. And then you will have a piece of basic white that is just a long strip. And we are going to use real red ink and stamp to the right side. Move this over so I don't end up dipping something in here I'm not supposed to. We are going to stamp "Happy Birthday, You Party Animal." What a fun little saying is that, especially for a little kid. I just think that's super cute. All right, so we will do that. And then, I don't remember if I use, oh, I do use my red again. So let's just set that there. And then before we glue that down, you will have 2 of the punched out circles using the 1 7/8 inch. And we're going to take, and we are going to stamp the zebra on it. That was my son calling me, so I will have to let him know that I will call him back later. Let me grab a piece of scrap paper because I don't want to get ink on my glass mat. And we are going to use black Memento ink. Hopefully he won't call back before we get finished, because I made the mistake of trying to call him thinking it was his day off the other day, and realized halfway through the message that it was not. So it was funny. All right, so we're just going to put a zebra on that circle and kind of set this off to the side so it can dry for a minute. And then in the meantime, we will take our red stamped "Happy Birthday" and we are going to just glue this flat, kind of leave maybe a 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch border at the bottom. So put some glue on this. I like the multi-purpose glue because it does allow me a little bit of wiggle room before I leave it down. So it's kind of nice to have that option. And then we're also going to, whoops, need to get the one with the zebra. We're also going to glue down our zebra, and we're going to put it to where it kind of overlaps this white piece, but also comes down on it a little bit too. So let's just put some glue back here, and then we will have the inside of our card complete. I think this set is super cute. Even if you don't have little kids, sometimes it's just fun to have birthday cards on hand for younger kids. So, all right, so now you're going to have a couple of other things. You're going to have 2 sheets of designer series paper, which are going to go on both sides of your gatefold. So let's go ahead and glue those down. And I'm going to go ahead and put glue on both of these, just to save a little bit of time. And you'll just want to center each one of these on each section. And there's really no right or wrong way to adhere these. You know, when I was kind of designing this, I had one where all my diagonals went the same way, and then I had another one where they went this way, and I kind of like this way a little better, so that's why I chose to do it here. So there is no right or wrong way. So it's however you want to do it. And then you will have this arch. And on this, we're going to stamp Woohoo, It's Your Birthday. And we're going to do that with Memento Black. So we could probably just leave the top off because we're going to be using this a lot. And you'll want to move this stamp over to the right a little bit. Okay. And then on the other circle that you have, and I'm just going to let that sit there for a minute and kind of dry. And again, I'm going to grab my scratch paper because it will come off the bottom just a little, and you don't want to get ink on your table or on your, in this case, our glass mat. And so we are going to pull him down just a little because I want to leave room to put a sentiment around his head. And so what we are going to do now is use Real Red and put It's Your Day, Go Wild. And so you'll want to, I'm going to move this off of here so I can see. And so you'll want to just kind of center this. I try to gauge off of his ears as to whether or not I'm centered. And there we go. So now we're going to color in our monkey, which is kind of fun. So the colors that we are going to use for this are crumb cake and, let me see, it's the ivory. So this is our dark crumb cake. This is bronze, but we're not going to use it on this one. And then here's ivory, and then here's the light crumb cake. So what I'm going to do is just hit the highlights with the dark crumb cake and then go back and fill in with the light. As we've discussed several times in our videos, I love our blends. They're just so fantastic. Put a little bit there. And then we will go ahead and fill the rest of this in with our light crumb cake, except for his face, and we're going to use the ivory on that. This little monkey is so cute. Just of all of these animals, they're really fun. Tell you what, I'm going to grab my scratch paper because I really don't want to color our mat. There we go. And you can just kind of go back and shade this however you'd like. I did not choose to give him a pink nose or anything like that. So I'm going to use the ivory, which is the combination of the bronze and ivory. But I'm going to use that to color his face. And it actually, you know, when I first was using it, I didn't think it was really making that big of a difference. But after I got finished, I was like, oh, wow. It really does show up a little more than I thought it would. And then you'll just want to color around his mouth and eyes. I did not color the inside of any of that. Okay, so here is our monkey. He's kind of cute. All right, so what we're going to do on this is we are going to glue our arches on this side so that it will open up and leave that part open. So I'm going to put some I'm actually going to use Stampin' Seal on this and just put a few lines of that on this one side. There we go. And then just kind of center that on here. There we go. And then I'm going to use dimensionals on our monkey and pop him up. If you do, hi Anna, I just saw you on here. If you do decide to place an order in your card kit that I send you, you will receive all of the embellishments as well as the twine to make the 4 cards that we're making today. All right, so we are going to use the crumb cake twine that is in here and just make a double bow with this, and then use a mini glue dot to attach it. If I can get my bow to work, there we go. Sometimes they have a mind of their own. All right, and then we're just going to trim off the excess. And grab a mini glue dot. I have this one side that wants to keep twisting. So I'm just going to use a mini glue dot and try to force it in the direction that I want it to go in. And then we are just going to put this kind of down here, almost like a bow tie. I guess it's a little lower than that. All right, so then we are going to use our embellishments, which are the rainbow adhesive back dots, and put some of these on our card. So we will just kind of randomly put some of these on here. See, I just stuck my finger in that ink. That's why I usually close these up, but I decided to try and be a little more strategic today and not make you wait on me to open and close it since we're using it so much. And then let's put another one maybe down here. And then we'll do one more. Whoops, if I can grab it. There we go. And just stick it over here. All right. So here is card number 1. How fun. It's your day. Go wild. It's your birthday. And then you open it up and it tells you happy birthday. So kind of fun. It's a cute card, especially for kids. I'm sure any of us would love to get something that looks like that. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and just put the lid on that so I don't stick my finger in it. All right, so let's do our second card, which is kind of fun. This one uses several of the animals. And then let me see what I did on the inside. Okay, so we will definitely need our scratch paper for the inside. So we'll do that second. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. So here you will have a garden green card base, and then you will have a piece of Granny Apple Green along with your designer series paper, and we're going to adhere these together and then glue this to the card base. So let's do that first. There we go. Fine. And then we will just glue this down. And then you will have 3 punched out circles. And again, this is using the 1 7/8 inch punch that comes as part of this bundle, but it's super cute and really fun and just makes it easy. So you will have, this is Poppy Parade, Balmy Blue, and Granny Apple Green. So we are going to use these colors and stamp 3 different animals on here. So I'm going to grab my scratch paper. So on the blue one, I'm going to put the tiger, which is really cute and just kind of fun. So what I try to do whenever I do these is just kind of center the head or put it where I want it to go, and then just let the rest of it fall off to the bottom like that. And then on the green one, we are going to do the zebra. And this is the same zebra that we used on our first card on the inside. And so again, I'm just going to put his head about where I want it and let the rest of it just kind of fall off on the scratch paper. So he will be there. And then on the last one, we're going to use our monkey on the red. And so we will put him. And the nice thing about stamping these on the colored cardstock is you don't have to color them because it's already got the color there for you. So that's kind of nice. And then you will have a piece of this white paper. And on this, we are going to stamp Happy Birthday, You Party Animal. So let me clean that stamp really quick. Forgot to bring my cleaner over here, so I just snagged that really quick. So there we go. All right, so now we're going to put some black ink on this, and then we will trim around this. So I'm going to try and line it up with the bottom so that I can just trim the one side. All right, so then we're just going to use our snips and see if we can get this straight. It's always a challenge for me. There we go. And then we will just kind of cut this off. There we go, like that. And then I'm going to leave the other side just straight. And you can tell that it's a little bit crooked on the bottom. So we can kind of trim that a little bit. And hopefully I won't make it worse. There we go. It's not too bad. All right. So now we're just going to adhere everything on the front of this card. And as you can see, it really doesn't take a lot of effort to make a super cute card with these. So I am going to use glue and just glue these flat. So we will start with our Poppy Parade monkey. You know, if this paper would have had a little bit different color in it, I probably would have made the monkey like a brown, but this is what we had. So I decided to kind of go with the colors in the paper. And then I'm going to put the blue tiger just a little bit below and to the left, just a little, so that I can kind of overlap this with the zebra. So let's throw some glue back here. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to put the zebra, I am going to use dimensionals on him just to give it a little bit of height. And so let me grab a few of these. And then we will just kind of overlap him just a little. Whoops, and get him looking straight on. There we go. And then I'm going to use dimensionals on this, but I am going to put dimensionals on the bottom and then use a glue dot right here around the top part so that it doesn't make it too tall or high, or however you want to phrase it. Because I would like for, make sure I'm doing the right side. Yep. That way, if you're mailing it, you don't have to worry about a lot of extra postage. And then let's grab a glue dot. And put it kind of right around there. And then that way, it all kind of fits together. Whoops. Oh, you know what? It helps if you take the backs off of your dimensionals. So let's try it now that we've done that. I'll bet it makes it stick a little better. I always laugh at myself because you might as well. Just goes to show that we can all make improvements, right? All right, so this time out of our basic twine essentials, we're going to use the black twine. And again, I'm going to make a double bow. And we will use a mini glue dot to adhere this to our card. All right. Make it just a little bit smaller. Whoops. My finger caught it and pulled it just a little. There we go. All right, and then we'll trim off the excess. And then grab a mini glue dot and just kind of put this at the bottom of our greeting down here. You could put it in the corner, but I really didn't want to cover up our lion right there, so I decided to put it there. All right, and then you will have a piece of white cardstock to go on the inside, but we're going to stamp some leaves on the inside of this. So we are going to use some Granny Apple Green ink. If I can find where I put that. Here it is. I knew it was here somewhere. And then one of the things I really like about this stamp set is it has these awesome leaves. And they're just really cute, and they make really pretty leaves. So we are going to stamp some of these by stamping off. And so I'm going to use my scratch paper again so that I don't wind up with ink all over the place. And so we will stamp one of these here and then just kind of stamp off and put it in the corner just to give it the shading that we want. And then we will do one more in the other corner. And so we'll stamp off. And then try to get them about the same height. Okay, there we go. And so we will close this up so I don't stick my finger in it, which is always a lovely touch. And then we are just going to glue this onto the inside of our card. So this way you have something to write a personal message with. And I think the leaves are really cute. The last card that we're going to do is probably my favorite, and we use a lot of the leaves on it, but I thought it came out really fun. All right, so there we go. So there's the inside. So let's put some embellishments on this, and then we will be finished with it, and we will move to card number 3. So on this one, I'm going to just add a bunch of different colors and stuff just to kind of highlight some of the other, I mean, there's no right or wrong way. You can put any color you want since it's your card, but sometimes it's kind of fun to highlight some of the colors that you see on the card base. Let's put a darker blue one down here, and then maybe, tell you what, we'll do one more blue one up here kind of in the corner. All right, and that way we have 5 and we have our odd number. So there we go. So here's card number 2. How fun. All right, so next is our cute baby card. So this one is made with Flirty Flamingo as your card base. I know that we are going to, I think we're going to need this. Pretty sure we do. And actually, yes, I did use that. Okay, so let me put the real red up because I don't think we use it anymore. All right, so on this one, you will have your card base, which will be 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And this is a pretty simple card as far as the construction of it. And then you'll have a piece of Flirty Flamingo that's going to go on the front of your card, and you will have a piece of DSP. And so we are going to glue these together first and then glue this to our card base. So let's go ahead and do that. I really like these polka dots. I don't know why. They just kind of reminded me of something you would see with a cute baby pattern. So I was like, let's make this one our baby card because it just seemed kind of fun. And then we are going to put this on the center of our card front. And then on this one, I did not design anything special to put on the inside, but I will include a piece of white cardstock so that you can have something, especially since the Flirty Flamingo is a little bit darker. That way you can have something to write on. All right, and so on this die cut right here, we are going to stamp Welcome Baby with the Flirty Flamingo. So here is our stamp, and we will use the Flirty Flamingo ink. Let's see if we can get this straight. It's always a challenge whenever I'm trying not to hit the camera. There we go. And then on the circle that will be in your kit, we are going to stamp one of the monkeys. And so let's use our scratch paper again. Do it this way. And we will grab our monkey, and then we are going to use the same blends that we used earlier and color this little guy. And so we're going to be using, in case you weren't here, we're going to be using the crushed curry, or I'm sorry, that is not true. The crumb cake and the ivory blends. For him, we'll use the ivory on his face, and then the rest of it will be crumb cake. Make sure I have the right one. Yes. All right, so we're just going to kind of use the little places that Stampin' Up! Has already put the lines for us, and then maybe do a few other highlights, and then the rest of it we'll fill in with the light color, and then on his face we will use the ivory. So this is our light crumb cake. So then we will just kind of fill this in. If you are new to our blends, they are just a wonderful addition to your craft supplies. They are just so easy to work with and super nice. There's one side that is a blunt tip and the other side is more of a feather tip. I tend to use the blunt tip way more than the feather tip, but they're both good. But I really like them. And the more you go over with them, the darker that they get, which is kind of nice. And then we're going to use the ivory on his face. So kind of like we did on the other one, I did not color the inside of his mouth or the inside of his eyes. I just kind of left that and just used the ivory. So, and then we also have a color lifter. So if you ever feel like you have too much color and you want to take some off, you can always do that as well. All right, so I'm going to use dimensionals. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to put this in the center of our card. So it's going to go right here, and we are going to glue this part flat just so that it doesn't get super bulky. And so a lot of times if I am gluing down white that is going to be showing and it doesn't have something else on top of it, I don't put glue everywhere because it does tend to streak sometimes. So for that reason, I will just put it kind of around the edges just to keep it from having big old streak marks on it. All right, and then we're going to pop up our monkey. So let's grab some dimensionals for him. I say it's a him. I guess this one could be a girl monkey since our paper is more in the pink family. And see, this time I remembered to take the backs off, which is always a plus. All right, and then we're just going to kind of put him in the middle. I do want to leave a little bit of space because I do want to put a bow underneath. And so I'm going to use the white twine that will come in the package if you order the kit. And then that way you'll end up using 3 out of the 5 colors that we're doing for these cards, which is kind of fun. So again, I'm going to tie it with 2 strands just because I kind of like the 2. Sometimes it's nice to just have a single, but I felt like on these cards they needed to have a little bit more substantial bow, so I decided to do 2. But it's your card if you're making it, and you can use however many you'd like. So we'll trim off the edges. Set that over there. Put that in the trash. All right, so we're going to grab a mini glue dot and Just kind of put that at the base of the monkey. And then I'm going to use, this time, I'm going to use some of the Flirty Flamingo embellishments that we have. And so let's put a big one down here, and then we'll do a couple of small ones, maybe one up here, and then one more over here. All right. And like I said, I will include a piece of white cardstock that you can put on the inside so that you can write your message. So this is card number 3. Super fun. All right, and so here is our last card. I think, you know, at first whenever I did the baby card, I felt like that one was my favorite. But then after I did this last one, I was like, I don't know, this one's pretty fun. So this one is what I call a book fold card. It is basically 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2 and 4 1/4. And so you end up with this 1 1/4 inch book binding over here. So the first thing that you're going to do, you will have a piece of Timid Tiger and then your designer series paper. We're going to glue this together, and then we're going to adhere this over here on the left side. So let's grab some of our glue. If I can not end up with this, I always have this fear of it going on the floor. All right, and I got some glue on me. Okay, and then we are going to glue this to the left side of our card. So let's do that. You know, usually my phone goes on to do not disturb whenever I do these, so I'm not really sure why it's not doing that today, but that's okay. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the crumb cake twine, and we are just going to wrap this around over here on the book binding part. So I am going to use my Stampin' Seal. You can also use tear and tape if you're not a big fan of the Stampin' Seal. And just put some of this back here so that it will grab the twine, and then I can kind of push it down and have it hold it in place. And so what we're going to do is, if I can get this to, there we go, just kind of place it down here and hold it, and then just wrap your twine, whoops, it's catching on the other side, around like that. And then on the back side, whenever you push it down, after you trim this off, hey, Odette, I just saw you on here. I'm going to use some tear and tape, and then take that to sandwich down these loose ends to make sure that they don't come up after I've assembled my card. So you'll just run that over the edges, and no one's going to see this because it's going to be covered up. So there's not a right or wrong way to do it. You just want to make sure that those ends don't come up. Okay, and then we're going to use another, my stuff is not cooperating. We're going to use another piece of the tear and tape and go along the edge so that we can get a really good seal on this book binding. So I'm just going to tear off a piece of this and then kind of put this toward the edge and press it down, and then pull off the one side. There we go. Whoops. And then just press this down so that we can do that. And then we'll wait to tie our bow a little bit later. But now, before we adhere our white cardstock to this, I always like to do my stamping first because I don't want to take a chance of having it on here and then I mess it up. So let's do our stamping. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp some of the leaves that we see. So let me grab a little bit bigger piece of scratch paper because we're going to be doing some stamping off and some other stuff. So we're going to be using our Granny Apple Green, and we will be using a combination of two different leaves. So we'll be using this leaf and then this one that is more of a palm leaf. And some of them will be dark, some of them will be stamped off. So I will try to guide you through that and hopefully not confuse you. So the first one that I want to do, I want to start in the corner, and we are going to do this one what I call full strength. So we're just going to stamp, okay? And I did it with scratch paper under it because I didn't want the leaf to be so far down. I just wanted to get it in the corner, okay? And so then now what I want to do is do another one next to it, but I want to stamp off so that I get a lighter shade. So we're going to do that, and then maybe just come at it like that so that it gives it a little more of a 3D look. Okay, so now let's use our palm leaf and do a few things with it. So the first one, I am going to go full strength with this. Okay, and then now I want to do another of the regular leaf, but I'm going to stamp off. So we'll do that, and then we'll go here, and then let's do one more of the palm toward the bottom, and then we'll go across the top. And this one is going to be full strength. I just saw your note, Odette. I know, I love this fold. It's probably one of my favorites, and I don't use it as much as I did when I first started, but I really like it. It's just a little bit different, but it's not complicated, so that makes it nice. All right, so now we're going to stamp off on the palm and then do that right there. And then let's do some of these across the top. And, you know, obviously you can do this however you would like. I just kind of came up with some ways last night that I thought were cute. And you can make it your own and do it however you would like to do it. Okay, and then we'll do one more with the regular leaf. So I'm going to stamp off and then just kind of go like that. Okay, so there we go. So that should give us a good variety of our leaves. So now we get to do the fun part. I'm going to close this up so I don't end up with it everywhere, because I know me and I will stick my finger in it if I'm not careful. All right, so we are now going to use the giraffe stamp that we have in here, and I'm going to put a piece of paper underneath this because I know that he is a little bit taller than what my paper is. So he is going to go right here. So this is why I wanted to do the leaves first, because I wanted to put him afterwards so I could fit him in between all of the leaves. So let's use our black Memento ink and ink him up really good. And try to get him straight so he doesn't look like he's falling over. Okay, and then what we're going to do, there's one other stamp, and we're going to put it over here on the left-hand side, and it says, "Thank you, big time." And hopefully, yeah, it looks like I barely have enough room. I probably should have moved him over just a tad, but I think we can make this fit. So there we go. Yep, just barely, but we got it on there. So let's go ahead and close this up. So now we're going to use our blends again to color him. So this time we're going to use very similar colors that we used for the monkey, but we're going to add one. So this is our ivory. I'm going to put it up there so I don't mix it up. Here's our dark crumb cake. This is our bronze. And then we have our light crumb cake. So I am going to see if I can do this without making you watch me for the next 30 minutes. Hopefully it won't take that long. So I'm going to do the ivory first because that's a lot of what I do. So the ivory kind of does his face and everything but the dots, more or less. So you'll just kind of want to just color around the dots and try to not color them in. Odette, how is your weather there? Is it starting to, I saw some of your flowers on Facebook, so hopefully it's starting to get spring for you. All right, so there we go. And we'll do his other ear. Here we go. So the ivory really has a nice touch. Honestly, I can't say that I've used the ivory a lot before this card set, but I really like it now that I've used it a little bit. And I'll probably start using it more now that I've done it. But super fun. If you do end up coloring a little bit into the dots, the good thing is the other colors are darker, so they will probably overshadow it. But I was just trying not to mess it up. And the good thing is there's no right or wrong, so you can just do whatever works best for you. Okay, so next I'm going to use our dark crumb cake and color in some of the darker dots. And like I said, there is no right or wrong way. I just tried to randomly put these in different spots so that everything wasn't the same. Let's see. And then we'll do this one. So this is the dark crumb cake is what I'm doing here. And then we'll do this. And then I think that might be all. Let's see, we'll find out. And then this is our light crumb cake. So let's do some of these. So we'll do that one. And we'll go ahead and do this one. And then we'll do this big one. Oh, I know one thing I forgot to do. I'll go back and do it. Is the thing down his neck. I guess it's kind of like his spine. I want to do that in the dark crumb cake. Yeah, I think that's about right. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that part in the dark crumb cake and go down here. And then we're going to use bronze to fill in all of the other spots. And the bronze has kind of a really different shading. It's really pretty. And then we'll do this last one. And then we can glue all of this down. There we go. So how fun is that? Super cute little giraffe, that's for sure. All right, so now is we want to glue our timid tiger down here onto this, and then we will put the piece that we just colored on top of that. I just saw your note. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's never fun to get that much rain. We've certainly had our share this year. But now it's just plain hot here. Odette, it's not quite as hot as it was whenever we were in Vegas together a couple years ago. But I'm sure it will get there before we get a few more weeks behind us. So, all right, so we have that. So now we're going to take this and just glue that to the center of our timid tiger. So I'm just going to put some glue around the edges. And then we will do the inside, which is not near as involved as this. I always have this fear of smearing ink whenever I do all of that. All right, and so then on the inside, we are just going to put some of the random leaves on the top again, and that'll kind of be all we do. So let's grab our Granny Apple Green ink and those stamps again, and we will do that. So here we go. Here's one. And where's my other? Here we go. So I tried to just start with these and put these in the corners for the top corners, and then just add some other Stampin' off, and then kind of, you know, and then I'll put a palm leaf in between that. So let's go ahead and do that. I feel like I'm getting ink everywhere. Maybe not. Okay. And then we will take our palm and put it up here. And then let's do another one and stamp off and go in the other direction. So it's kind of fun. You can just kind of fill it in however you would like to do. But there's obviously a lot of different ways you can do that. So it's really just kind of however you want it to look. So we will stamp that one off and then go like that. All right. So we will use this for the inside. And I didn't take a lot of extra time, but obviously, you know, you can take more time and make everything symmetrical if you would like, but we are just going to glue that down on the inside, which will give you a nice space to leave a message for someone. All right. So then we will just adhere this to the center. All right, so on the outside, what we want to do is take our crumb cake twine and let's go ahead and make a double bow to put on our book binding. And then we will throw some embellishments on here and we will be finished. So in case you weren't here at the beginning, if I can tie a bow, you can get this card kit by placing an order for $35 or more. And all of this is in the description, including the link of this video. And you have two options. You can either place an order for 35 or more, and then I will send you the card kit, and it will have everything in there that you see to make these 4 cards. If you want to make more than 4, there is also a link to purchase a kit, which will send you a half a pack of designer series paper along with the package of twine, as well as a full pack of embellishments. And then you will get enough card bases to make 2 of each one. And so you will have everything you need to make 8 cards, which is kind of nice. Let me shape this a little bit. There we go. So if you are interested in that, you can find that link in the description. And then I'm just going to place my bow kind of in the center here. And you can make this as big or as small as you want. I just wanted to put it there just enough. And then let's go ahead and decorate the front with our embellishments. And so I'm going to use kind of the ones that are a petal pink color and just kind of randomly put a few of these. I think I'm just going to do 3 because I think the card itself is really cute and it probably doesn't need a lot of other stuff. I'll just do 1 down here. All right, so this is card number 3. How fun. Thank you. All right, so now let me give you all 4 of the cards so you can see them one more time. And if you have questions, you can always go to my website and it will give you my email address and you can send me an email. You can also go to my website and join my email list if you would like to do that. And then I will be sending out information about this card kit as well as any others that I have. But these are the 4 cards for this week, and orders need to be placed by Thursday if you would, whoops, let me push this up a little bit, if you would like this card kit. So feel free to leave me a comment if you have a question, and I will definitely get back with you. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye for now.